Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're unlocking one of gardening's really delightful secrets, the humble bulb.
Mm-hmm.
Picture it. These are like nature's tiny self-contained powerhouses, right? Packed with everything they need to just burst into color.
They really are amazing little things.
And for anyone curious about gardening, bulbs offer this incredibly rewarding experience with, well, surprisingly little fuss.
That's spot on. And while, most of us jump straight to spring tulips and daffodils.
Yeah, the classics.
Exactly. This deep dive is really about broadening those horizons. There's a whole vibrant world out there, summer bulbs, even fall blooming ones, each with its own charm.
Okay.
So our mission today is to give you a practical handle on how these fascinating plant structures actually work, how you can use them strategically for maximum impact in the garden,
Right.
and crucially, how to care for them so they really, truly thrive. Think of this as your shortcut to feeling confident about bulbs, ready to plant.
Nice. So we'll cover the core principles, the big picture lessons, and then we'll dive into the step-by-step practical advice from our sources,
Yep, connecting it all to real-world success.
showing you how understanding these basics can lead to some incredible displays in your own space, whether that's like a small pot on a balcony or a big naturalized area, or even just something cheerful on a windowsill.
Exactly.
So let's unpack this straight away. What exactly is a bulb? Because when we say bulb, we often mean, well, a whole bunch of different swollen underground plant bits, don't we?
We do. It's kind of a catch-all term sometimes. But the most important thing to grasp, really, is their function, their universal purpose.
Which is?
Enabling the plant to survive tough conditions. Think cold winters, long droughts, they go dormant.
Ah, okay.
They just meticulously store all the food they need to burst back to life vigorously when the conditions are right again. It's like hitting a pause button.
Nature's pause button, I like that.
Right. Now, there are technical differences in how they're built, but honestly, for most gardeners, what it does is way more important than memorizing the exact botanical term.
Got it. So simplifying things, we've got true bulbs, like tulips, daffodils.
Yep. Those are the classic onion shape, sort of. A short, swollen, underground stem wrapped in these fleshy, food-storing leaves. And inside, all tucked away, is a tiny bud.
Okay, then corms, crocus, gladiolus.
Right. Corms are different. They're solid, swollen stem bases. Think like a dense little potato, maybe, with a bud right on top. And the cool thing is, a new corm usually forms on top of the old one each year, replacing it.
Ah, interesting. And tubers?
Tubers like cyclamen or those tuberous begonias, they're just swollen parts of an underground stem. Sometimes they're quite irregular in shape.
And finally, tuberous roots, like dahlias.
Exactly as the name says, thickened roots that store food. But here's the key thing with dahlias. For that tuberous root to grow into a plant, it must have a piece of the original stem attached. And critically, that stem piece needs a bud, an eye. No bud, no dahlia plant. Simple as that.
Wow, okay. Good to know.
Absolutely. And, this whole dormancy thing for folks in warmer climates where winter doesn't get cold enough.
Right. What do they do?
Well, you can actually simulate that cold period. It's pretty common for gardeners to refrigerate their bulbs for, say, 8 to 12 weeks before planting.
So you trick them.
You trick them. This artificial chilling makes the bulb think it's gone through winter, so it's all primed and ready for a big spring bloom when you plant it out.
That's clever. Very clever. And this leads us nicely into the two main categories gardeners usually talk about. Spring bulbs and summer bulbs.
Spring bulbs, your crocuses, daffodils, tulips, they're generally hardy. You plant them, and usually they come back year after year without you needing to big them up.
Usually.
Well, there are exceptions. Some might need lifting in really cold zones, or if you're in a very warm climate, you might need to do that pre-chilling we just talked about.
Okay, and summer bulbs?
Summer bulbs like dahlias, gladiolus, many lilies. A lot of these are tender. That means they just can't handle freezing temperatures.
So if you live somewhere cold,
You gotta dig them up. Before the first frost hits, you lift them and store them somewhere cool and dry indoors over winter.
right.
Though it's worth noting, some summer bloomers, like many lilies and alliums, actually prefer cooler climates and are perfectly hardy. They don't need lifting.
Good distinction.
And even in warmer areas, dividing these clumps every few years often really helps keep them vigorous and flowering well.
Okay, so now we know what they are. Let's talk about how to actually use them in the garden for maximum wow factor.
Yes, because they bloom over such a long period, right? From late winter clear through into fall, you can design things so there's almost always something bulb-related in flower.
That's the dream. So it's all about strategic placement then.
Pretty much. For instance, creating what our sources call an intimate spring garden.
Ooh, sounds nice.
Huh.
What's that involve?
Planting those small early bulbs, think snowdrops, winter aconites, maybe those tiny species tulips really close to the house, near a path you use a lot, or maybe under a deciduous tree.
So you see them right away.
Exactly. There's such an encouraging sign, that winter's finally loosening its grip. And you can be clever about it, plant them with early spring perennials, like foam flower.
Why that?
Because as the bulb leaves start to yellow and look a bit messy later on, the perennials grow up and hide them. It's a neat visual trick.
Smart. Hiding the messy phase. I like it.
It's a key takeaway, definitely. Perennials are great camouflage. Another approach, super popular and pretty low effort, is naturalizing bulbs.
Naturalizing. So just letting them go wild.
Sort of. It means grouping them informally, planting them in drifts or big patches, and letting them multiply on their own over the years. Imagine, like, fields of daffodils. Or those Siberian squills, the scillas, making lawns look like blue lakes in spring. It can be stunning.
So what's the secret there?
Two main things. Choose vigorous varieties that are known to naturalize well in your specific area. And second, crucially, you cannot mow the foliage down until it has completely withered and turned brown.
Ah, back to the foliage again.
Always back to the foliage. It's their solar panel. Gotta let it recharge the bulb for next year. No cutting corners there.
Got it. No mowing till it's brown.
Art.
What about for people with, like, zero garden space? Balconies, patios.
Containers, absolutely brilliant solution. So versatile, you can grow almost any bulb in a pot.
Really? Even big ones?
Sure, it's perfect for limited spaces, and it makes dealing with those tender bulbs super easy. Just lift the whole pot and store it, or easily tip it out to get the bulbs.
Easier than digging in the garden, I bet.
Way easier. Plus, it's a fantastic way to try out maybe more unusual exotic bulbs without committing them to a garden bed. You can move the pots around, follow the sun, create focal points. Lots of flexibility.
That sounds really appealing.
And beyond those specific strategies, bulbs are great for extending the season in any existing flower bed, an herbaceous border.
Yeah.
Early color before the perennials kick in.
Right.
And then later, summer bulbs like gladiolus or dahlias add that amazing vertical height and late season punch of color. And think about combinations.
Like what?
Oh, classic pairings like deep red tulips floating above a carpet of bright blue forget-me-nots. Gorgeous. Or elegant lilies popping up through ferns. The ferns help keep their roots cool, which lilies love. Our sources say they like cool feet.
Cool feet for lilies. Okay, noted.
So lots of creative ways to use them.
Okay, this is great. Let's get into the real nitty-gritty then. How do we actually grow them successfully?
Right, the practical stuff. While there are slight variations, some general rules apply to pretty much all bulbs.
Number one.
Choosing a site. And the first consideration there is usually sunlight. Most bulbs, sun lovers.
Makes sense.
For the spring ones, that often means getting sun early in the year before the big trees leaf out and create shade. Summer bulbs, though, generally need full sun. There are exceptions. Of course, we mentioned tuberous begonias liking shade.
But sun is usually key. What else?
Drainage. This is huge. Our sources say bulbs are fussier than most plants about this.
Fussier. How so?
They hate sitting in waterlogged soil. It's a guaranteed way to make them rot. So if your soil is heavy clay or just doesn't drain well,
What can you do?
improve it. Dig in lots of organic matter. Compost is fantastic. It improves the structure. Or if you have a really problematic spot, consider building raised beds. That guarantees good drainage.
Raised beds, okay? Good solution.
And here's a little tip. A slightly warmer, protected spot, maybe south-facing near the house wall, can make spring bulbs bloom maybe a week or two earlier. It's a nice little bonus after winter.
I'd take that. And soil prep. You mentioned compost. Anything else?
Good drainage is always number one. For beds, digging in that compost is key. Avoid fresh manure, though it can burn them. Most bulbs are happy with a neutral pH, so if your soil is very acidic, you might need a little lime.
Okay. Now, buying and storing. When's the best time to buy?
For spring bulbs, buy them early, late summer, early fall. That's when you get the best selection. But don't plant them right away if it's still hot.
Wait till it cools down.
Exactly. Wait for cooler days to avoid confusing them into sprouting too early. When you're choosing, look for bulbs that feel firm and heavy for their size. Solid, fat bulbs. Check for any soft spots, mold, signs of rot.
Any specific tips?
For daffodils, some sources mention looking for double-nosed bulbs. It's basically two bulbs fused together, and they often give you a stronger plant with more flowers in the first year.
Double-nosed daffs. Got it. And storage if you can't plant right away.
Keep them somewhere dry, dark, cool, and importantly, well ventilated. An airy spot where they won't freeze, like a garage or shed, maybe in mesh bags or paper bags, not plastic.
Right, no plastic. Okay, planting time. How deep do we go?
Good rule of thumb, plant them about 3 times as deep as the bulb is tall. So 2-inch bulb goes 6 inches deep, measuring from the bottom of the bulb.
And deeper is better.
Often, yes. Planting deeper helps in several ways. Less chance of them sprouting too early in a warm spell. Better protection from frost damage. Less risk of frost heave pushing them out of the ground.
Oh yeah, that happens.
And it makes them harder for squirrels and other critters to dig up. Plus, for tulips especially, planting deep can help them perennialize, come back for more years.
Okay, 3 times the depth. What about putting stuff in the hole? Fertilizer.
Yes, good idea.
Yeah.
Our sources recommend adding some compost or a specific bulb fertilizer to the bottom of the hole. Look for one that's high in phosphorus for root growth and relatively low in nitrogen. Mix it into the soil a bit.
Phosphorus or roots. Got it. And this might sound silly, but which end is up?
Not silly at all. Lots of people worry about that. Usually there's a pointy end where the shoot will come out that goes up. The flatter end, maybe with some roots, goes down.
Usually.
Yeah, some tubers and things can be tricky. But honestly, don't stress too much. Many bulbs are surprisingly good at figuring it out themselves, even if you plant them sideways. But pointy end up is the goal.
Okay, good to know there's some wiggle room. Now, maintenance. Are they divas once they're planted?
Generally, no. That's the beauty of bulbs. They're pretty low maintenance once established. They do appreciate a little top dressing, though. That just means spreading a thin layer of compost or bulb fertilizer on the soil surface.
When do you do that?
Good times are early spring when the shoots first pop up, again in summer after the foliage has died back completely, and maybe once more lightly in the fall.
Okay, anything else?
Some bulbs, especially daffodils, can get really crowded after a few years. The clumps get dense, flowering might decrease. That's when you dig them up. Divide the clump into smaller sections and replant them. Gives them new life.
Dividing daffodils.
Right.
Watering.
Definitely give them a deep soak during prolonged dry spells, especially important going into winter.
Okay, but you mentioned something earlier, the most important thing.
Yes. The absolute #1 golden rule for long-term bulb success. You must let the foliage die back naturally.
Don't cut the messy leaves.
Do not cut the messy leaves, no matter how tempted you are, no matter if someone complains. That green foliage is the bulb's engine, its solar panel. It's soaking up sunlight, making food, and storing all that energy back in the bulb for next year's flowers.
So cutting it early is like...
It's like unplugging a battery before it's charged. You'll get fewer flowers next year, or maybe none at all. It's vital. Sustainable gardening 101 for bulbs. Let it turn yellow, then brown, then you can clean it up.
Got it loud and clear. Leave the leaves. What about the dead flowers?
Good question. Deadheading, or removing the spent flowers, is generally a good idea. It stops the plant wasting energy trying to make seeds.
Unless you want seeds.
Exactly. Some bulbs, like scilla or grape hyacinths, will self-sow nicely if you leave the flower heads on. So it depends on the look you want.
Okay. And staking.
Mostly for some of the taller summer bulbs. Lilies, sometimes dahlias or gladioli, especially if you're in a windy spot. Just a little support to keep them upright.
Makes sense. All right, getting ready for winter. We talked about digging tender bulbs. What about the hardy spring ones? Sometimes they poke through in a warm fall. Should we panic?
No, don't panic. It happens. Those little green tips are surprisingly tough. They can usually handle winter just fine. Just leave them be.
Good to know. And the tender ones dig before frost, store, cool, dry, dark, not freezing.
Perfect summary. Often nestled in peat moss, sawdust, or shredded paper in a cardboard box or crate.
Okay. Phew. That's a lot of practical stuff. What about things that want to eat our precious bulbs? Pests.
Yes. The good news, relatively speaking, is that diseases aren't usually a massive problem. It's mostly animals.
Like what?
Well, dogs can sometimes dig them up, just being curious. But the real culprits are often the eaters. Voles, mice, chipmunks, squirrels. They can tunnel underground and munch away.
Oh no. What can you do?
It's tricky. For deer browsing on, say, tulip leaves as they emerge, dusting with dried blood can work, but you have to reapply it after every rain.
That sounds like work.
It is. For rodents underground, the most effective method, though labor-intensive, is planting bulbs inside wire mesh cages, like making little baskets out of hardware cloth.
So they can't chew through.
Right. The stems and leaves grow up through the mesh, but the bulb itself is protected. Our source even shared a story about a puppy eating hyacinths, proving that common wisdom about what animals avoid isn't always reliable.
Hmm, good point. Anything else major pest-wise?
For lily growers, there's one serious nemesis, the lily beetle.
Sounds ominous.
It can be. It's a very conspicuous, bright red-orange beetle. Adults appear on the leaves in spring and start munching.
So easy to spot, at least.
Yes, thankfully. And the best control, especially if you want to avoid chemicals, is vigilance. Hand-pick the adult beetles and drop them in soapy water. Check the undersides of leaves for their orange egg masses and scrape them off.
Okay.
And then there are the larvae. They cover themselves in their own black, slimy excrement. It's pretty gross, honestly. Yeah. You need to remove those, too. It requires persistence, checking your lorries regularly, but you can keep them under control by just being diligent.
Okay. Diligence against the gross lily beetle larvae. Got it.
Wow.
Right, let's shift gears completely to something really quite lovely, forcing bulbs indoors.
Yes. This is such a rewarding thing to do, especially midwinter.
That real promise of spring feeling when it's gray outside.
Exactly. It's a very encouraging reminder that winter will end, and the concept is basically hijacking the bulb's natural cycle.
Hijacking nature.
How? You start with a dormant bulb, same as planting outside, but then you provide the long, cold winter period it needs.
The artificial winter again.
Yep. Usually in the dark, at a consistently cool temperature, ideally around 40 degrees Fahrenheit, give or take. This chilling period averages maybe 12 weeks, but it varies depending on the bulb type.
12 weeks in the cold dark.
Then, once that chilling is done, you bring it out into the light and warmth of your house. The bulb thinks, aha, spring is here, and bursts into growth and bloom.
It sounds almost magical. How do you start?
Preparation. Buy your bulbs early, again, for the best choice. Pot them up. Inexpensive clay pots are great because they breathe. Use a decent potting mix, maybe garden soil lightened with some peat or perlite.
How deep is the pot?
Plant them close together, much closer than you would outdoors. And leave the tips, the pointy bits, just showing above the soil surface. Water them well once. You can add a weak fertilizer solution, but it's not strictly needed for the first bloom. The bulb has most of the energy stored.
Okay. And some you can grow in just water, right?
That's right. Hyacinth in special hyacinth glasses and paperwhite narcissus on pebbles and water, super easy. But those grown in water are usually spent afterwards. You typically discard them.
Right, they've used up all their reserves. Now, that storage spot for the cold period, you said dark, consistently cool. That sounds like the tricky part for many people.
It absolutely is the most crucial and often hardest part. Needs to be dark and consistently around 40 degrees of vent. A cold cellar is ideal, but not everyone has one.
So what are the alternatives?
Maybe an unheated garage if it stays above freezing but below 50. A cool attic. But watch out for mice. Maybe put the pots inside a bin with hardware cloth over the top.
Good tip.
Some people even dig a trench outdoors, put the pots in, cover them with sand or leaves, and then mulch heavily to insulate against deep freezes. Like a temporary outdoor root cellar.
Wow, okay. Creative solutions needed.
Definitely. But getting that consistent cool period is key. Start counting your chilling weeks once they're in that cool spot.
Okay, chilling done. Then what? Waking them up.
Exciting part. You might see pale shoots already starting. The trick is gradual introduction to light and warmth. Don't just stick them on a sunny windowsill straight away.
Why not?
Too much shock. Start them in a cool shaded spot for a day or two. Then move to brighter indirect light, still cool, maybe 55, 65 degrees F. Keep the soil lightly moist.
Gradually brighter and warmer.
Exactly. Once the shoots are green and maybe 4 to 5 inches tall, then you can move them to a sunny spot at normal room temperature to encourage blooming. And once the buds show color, moving them back to a slightly cooler spot with bright indirect light actually makes the flowers last longer.
Pro tip, make the blooms last longer. What happens after blooming? Just toss them.
You can, especially if you force them hard. But if you want to try saving them, cut off the spent flower stalk, but keep watering and let the leaves grow. Treat it like a houseplant.
Let the leaves recharge the bulb again.
Precisely. You can give them some liquid feed. When the leaves start to yellow, gradually reduce water. Once dormant, you can store the bulb and replant it outdoors in the fall. But be patient. Forced bulbs often take a year or two in the garden to recover enough energy to bloom well again.
So maybe best to just get fresh bulbs for forcing each year.
For the most reliable show, probably yes.
Okay. And you mentioned timing. Can you actually aim for blooms on a specific date, like for Christmas or something?
You absolutely can. It just takes planning. You need to know the approximate chilling time for your chosen bulb, and the average time it takes from bringing it into light until it blooms, usually 3 to 5 weeks.
So you count backwards.
Count backwards from your target bloom date, add the light weeks plus the dark chilling winds. That tells you when you need to pot them up and get them into the cold. Keeping records year to year helps fine-tune it.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And for continuous flowers all winter.
Easy. Just pot up a new batch of bulbs every week or two during the fall. Then you can bring a new pot out of the cold storage each week for a succession of blooms.
A production line of spring.
Pretty much. And don't forget, there are some bulbs that don't need the winter chill at all.
Oh yeah, like what?
Paperwhite narcissus are the classic example. Super easy, no cold period needed. You just pot them up, keep them in a coolish 50-60 F spot with low light until they sprout well, then move them to bright light.
How long does that take?
Only about 4 to 6 weeks from potting to bloom. They're incredibly popular around the holidays for that reason. And that sweet fragrance, it fills a room.
Paperwhite's the easy option. Nice.
And finally, don't be afraid to get creative. Mix different bulbs in one pot for a little forced garden.
Ooh, like what?
Maybe some early snowdrops with tiny yellow winter aconites, or crocuses with miniature irises. It makes a lovely, unique display, like a miniature spring landscape. Great winter gifts, too.
That sounds wonderful. A little pot of hope.
Exactly. A reminder of all the beauty waiting to emerge, even when things look bleak outside.
And there you have it, our deep dive into the truly captivating world of bulbs. We've peeled back the layers, haven't we, on these clever self-contained little powerhouses.
We have.
And what we've learned today really underscores the power of understanding just their basic needs, right? From getting the site and soil right,
Especially drainage.
to remembering how absolutely crucial that foliage is for next year's show, and their need for that dormant period, whether natural or simulated.
Those simple principles really are the foundation.
And they lead to this vibrant, rewarding, and actually surprisingly low-maintenance kind of gardening.
They really do. What's fascinating here, I think, is how these seemingly simple bulbs just embody resilience and the power of preparation.
How so?
Well, they meticulously store energy, they endure that period of waiting, of dormancy, and then they just burst forth when the conditions are finally right.
Yeah.
And if you connect that to the bigger picture, maybe think about what prepackaged kits of knowledge or potential or ideas are waiting to bloom in your own life, in your studies.
Interesting thought.
How can you create the optimal conditions for them? The right soil of learning, maybe that necessary dormancy for reflection, the right light of opportunity for growth. How can you help those potentials flourish? It's kind of a powerful metaphor, isn't it? Rooted right there in the garden cycle.
That is a beautiful thought to leave us with, a really powerful metaphor. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive, everyone, and for being part of the Deep Dive team.
Thanks for listening.
We hope you feel well informed and maybe inspired to go out and plant some beauty in your own world.